From Savannah's ghost-filled streets to the coastal plains, Georgia is full of stories that never truly died. Today, we're bringing 12 haunting legends back to life, tales that still echo through the South of the United States. Number 1. The Ghost Children of Pine Mountain. Tucked away on the winding roads of Pine Mountain, Georgia, there's a stretch of highway where drivers slow down, not just because of the curves, but because of the legend. Locals say that many years ago, a tragic school bus accident claimed the lives of several children on their way to a picnic. The exact date is fuzzy, but the story has been passed down for generations. Now people say if you drive that road at night and leave a piece of candy on your bumper or trunk, something strange might happen. Wait quietly in your car, and you may hear soft footsteps, too light to be an adult, and then find that the candy has vanished. Some even return to their vehicles to find tiny fingerprints smudged into the dust. Visitors who don't believe often leave shaken. There are stories of engines stalling, radios turning to static, and a sudden drop in temperature just before the faint sound of laughter or footsteps in the dark. The area is peaceful during the day, but once the sun sets, the forest seems to hold its breath. No one knows if the story is true or just small-town folklore, but many locals won't travel that road alone at night, and if they do, they make sure to bring a little candy, just in case the ghost children of Pine Mountain come out to play. Number 2. The Screaming Woman of Taiibbe Island. On the wind-swept shores of Taiibbe Island, just outside Savannah, the sea air carries more than just salt. It carries a cry, high, mournful, and impossible to explain. Locals call her the Screaming Woman, and her voice has been heard echoing through the dunes for over 100 years. According to legend, during the Civil War, a young nurse was left behind in the chaos as Union forces stormed the coast. She was said to be caring for wounded soldiers hidden in a makeshift tent near the Taiibbe lighthouse. When the fighting reached the beach, she disappeared, never to be seen again. Only her scream remained. Visitors swear they've heard the wailing just before storms roll in, or when walking alone by the water at dusk. Some say it's not a scream of fear, but of heartbreak, a warning for others to flee before tragedy strikes. Her voice seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once, chilling even the warmest summer air. To this day, many islanders avoid walking near the lighthouse after dark. They say the nurse's spirit still searches the shore, looking for help that never came. The ocean may have taken her, but her voice rises every time thunder rumbles over the sea, reminding Georgia's coast that some cries never fade. Number 3. The Sury Poltergeist, Georgia's most documented haunting. In the small town of Sury, Georgia, something strange began happening in the fall of 1872. Rocks flew through windows without breaking the glass. Chairs slid across rooms. Fires started in empty fireplaces. The Sury family, a well-respected household in Appling County, had no idea what they were dealing with, only that their once peaceful home had turned into something out of a nightmare. The haunting grew worse. Clocks jumped off walls, shoes floated through the air, and books opened by themselves. It wasn't just the family who saw it. Neighbors, visitors, even railroad workers witnessed the strange events. Newspapers across the country reported on it, calling it one of the most baffling cases of the supernatural ever recorded in the South. Some thought it was a hoax. Others believed the house had been built on cursed land, or that the Sury family had somehow stirred up something ancient. The family eventually moved out, and the activity reportedly faded. But the legend didn't. The Sury Poltergeist remains one of Georgia's most widely documented and chilling ghost stories. To this day, Sury is known for the haunting that shook the town. People who visit the area sometimes report feeling watched or hear knocks when no one is there. Whether it was a restless spirit, a curse, or something else, the Sury Poltergeist left behind a mystery that still rattles windows and imaginations. Number 4. Lake Laneirs Ghosts, a drowned town's secrets. Beneath the sparkling surface of Lake Lanier lies something most visitors don't know: entire towns. When the lake was created in the 1950s, the U.S. government flooded several communities, including homes, cemeteries, and churches. Not all of it was moved. Some buildings still sit at the bottom of the lake, slowly crumbling in the dark. Since then, Lake Lanier has become one of the most dangerous lakes in America. Hundreds have drowned in unexplained accidents. Boats have flipped on calm water. Experienced swimmers have vanished without a trace. And then there are the stories of phantom hands grabbing ankles, of ghostly figures floating just below the surface, and of a woman in a blue dress who appears on the shore, only to disappear when approached. Locals believe these strange events are tied to the town buried below. One famous legend tells of a woman killed in a 1958 car crash that sent her vehicle into the lake. When her remains were finally found decades later, people said her ghost had already been wandering the area for years. Even today, people visit Lake Lanier for fun, but many won't swim after sunset. The stories, the strange deaths, and the whispers of the drowned town make it clear there's something down there that was never meant to be disturbed. Number 5. The Winter Panther. In the quiet hills near Winter, Georgia, where the forests press close to farmland, strange sounds have haunted families for over a century. It starts with a scream in the night, high-pitched like a woman crying out, followed by rustling in the brush and the unmistakable crunch of large paws on dry leaves. Locals say it's not just imagination, it's the Winter Panther. For generations, farmers have reported catching glimpses of a huge black cat, too big to be a bobcat, too fast to be a bear. Livestock found torn apart, massive claw marks on trees. Some even claimed they saw yellow eyes glowing just beyond their fence lines. Yet no confirmed panther population has existed in Georgia for over 100 years. Wildlife experts dismiss the stories, but the locals don't. Some say it's the ghost of the eastern cougar, long thought extinct. Others whisper of a cursed animal that only appears when the moon is low and fog hangs over the fields. Hunters who've gone after it return pale and quiet, refusing to speak of what they saw. Even today, people in Barrow and Jackson counties listen closely at night. If you hear a blood-curdling scream near the tree line, don't go looking for it. Just lock the doors, turn off the porch light, and remember, you're in Winter Panther country now. Number 6. Sadie Baker, the Witch of Dahloneg's Mines. In the old gold hills of Dahlonega, where narrow shafts wind deep into the mountains, miners once whispered about a woman named Sadie Baker. She lived alone in a crooked cabin, knew which herbs to boil for fever, and never came into town unless someone was dying. People called her a healer, but when tragedy struck the mines, they began calling her something else, a witch. According to legend, after a string of deadly cave-ins in the late 1800s, frightened workers blamed Sadie. They said she had cursed the mine after being chased off the property. One stormy night, a mob of angry miners dragged her from her home and threw her into a flooded shaft. Her last words, they say, were a curse on anyone who dared take gold from the mountain again. Since then, strange things have happened in those tunnels. Lights flicker out, tools go missing. Some miners say they've seen a shadowy woman in a soaked dress standing at the edge of shafts. The deeper you go, the colder it gets, even in the heat of summer. Modern treasure hunters who explore the old mines sometimes return with nothing but fear in their eyes. They speak of an icy presence, of whispers in the dark, and of sudden accidents that seem too perfect to be chance. In Dahlonega, people still believe that Sadie Baker guards her mountain, and she's not done with those who chased her into the dark. Number 7. The Blue Girl of St. Simon's Island. Beneath the shade of moss-draped oaks on Georgia's St. Simon's Island rests a quiet little grave marked only by a few simple words. Little girl buried in a blue dress. Her name was Anne Page King, the daughter of a wealthy plantation owner, and she died young in the 1800s from a sudden illness. Her family buried her in her favorite blue velvet dress, and that's where the legend began. For over 100 years, visitors to the old cemetery at Epworth by the Sea have reported seeing a pale, glowing figure of a young girl wandering between the trees. Some say she's looking for her father's ship to come back from sea. Others say she simply wants someone to talk to, someone who won't forget her name. Those who've seen her describe a sense of calm rather than fear. They say her dress shimmers like the waves, and her voice is soft, like the wind through the trees. Sometimes she vanishes into thin air. Other times they find a trail of small footprints in the morning dew, leading from her grave to the water's edge. Even today, people leave blue flowers at her tomb, hoping to give her peace. But every now and then, a visitor will pause, look up from the path, and see a flash of blue among the trees. On St. Simon's Island, the Blue Girl is never far away. Number 8. The Foresight Werewolf. In the dark woods of Forsyth County, long before highways and streetlights, farmers told stories about something wild that roamed under the full moon. It wasn't just an animal, it was something in between, a man who became a beast, or a beast who knew how to walk like a man. They called it the Forsyth Werewolf. The legend began in the 1800s when livestock started vanishing overnight. Goats were found torn apart, chicken coops ripped open, and strange clawed footprints circled barns. One hunter followed a trail and never came back. The only thing they found was his rifle, bent and broken like it had been snapped in half. Some say the werewolf was once a cursed settler, doomed to transform whenever the moon turned silver. Others believe it was a shapeshifter, guarding something buried deep in the woods. People reported seeing yellow eyes in the dark, hearing snarls that didn't sound like any known animal, and even spotting a tall, fur-covered figure standing upright before vanishing into the trees. Today, the forest has grown quieter, but the stories still echo. Hikers sometimes hear howls on windless nights, or feel watched when the trail grows narrow. If you find yourself deep in the woods of Forsyth, with the moon high above, don't look too long into the dark. The Forsyth Werewolf may still be waiting. Number 9. Pemberton's Phantom, Columbus's underground ghost. Beneath the city streets of Columbus, Georgia, a network of tunnels runs deep into the earth, once used for trade, storage, and even escape routes during war. But one part of these tunnels holds a stranger secret. Locals say that the spirit of Dr. John Pemberton, the pharmacist who invented Coca-Cola, still walks there, long after his last formula was bottled. Before Coca-Cola became famous, Pemberton ran a drugstore where he mixed herbal tonics, some with morphine to treat his war wounds. He spent long hours underground, working on strange cures and secret recipes. Some say the ghost of Pemberton appears late at night, dressed in a long coat, holding a glowing bottle, and vanishing down a dark corridor before anyone can follow. Construction workers restoring parts of the tunnel in recent years reported seeing flickering lights, hearing footsteps echo in empty halls, and catching whiffs of something sweet, like syrup or spiced cola. A few even swore they saw a man step into the shadows with a cane in hand and vanish before their eyes. No one can say for sure what Pemberton left behind down there, but visitors to Columbus still talk about the eerie feeling that something watches beneath the ground. Whether he's guarding a forgotten recipe or just can't leave his work behind, Pemberton's phantom continues to haunt the tunnels he once called home. Number 10. The Catman of Savannah. In the historic streets of Savannah, where gas lamps flicker and Spanish moss sways in the trees, there's one legend that sends chills through even the boldest ghost hunters. Locals speak in hushed tones about the Catman, a shadowy figure that roams the alleys near Bonaventure Cemetery and disappears just before dawn. The story begins in the late 1800s, when a caretaker at the cemetery lived alone with dozens of stray cats. He was kind but odd, talking to the animals more than people. One day he vanished, and the cats disappeared too. Soon after, visitors began spotting a tall, hunched figure with glowing green eyes and movements that were too quick, too smooth, more like a panther than a man. People say they've seen him leap between rooftops, crouch on tombstones, or peer from dark alleyways before vanishing in a blur. Some believe he was cursed for disturbing sacred ground. Others say the Catman was never human at all, but everyone agrees. Where he walks, silence follows, and his eyes reflect more than just moonlight. Number 11. Alti, the river monster of the southeast. Deep in the winding waters of Georgia's Altamaha River, where cypress trees rise from the fog and Spanish moss drips like curtains, folks have whispered about something strange for centuries. The Muskogee Creek people spoke of a powerful creature that lived beneath the muddy waters, a serpent-like beast with a long neck and sharp gator-like jaws. Locals today still call it Alti. The earliest settlers near Darien, Georgia, heard strange splashes at night and sometimes caught a glimpse of a hump rising from the river. Some said it moved too fast to be a log, too big to be a fish, and didn't make waves like a boat. A few brave boaters claimed it had ridged scales, bulging eyes, and could dive without a sound. Modern reports haven't stopped. In fact, fishermen and kayakers still say they've seen something long and gray slipping through the mist. One man even described it as a living submarine with flippers. Wildlife experts often chalk it up to alligators or schools of sturgeon, but deep down, locals know better. Whether it's a leftover from the dinosaur age or just a well-kept river secret, Alti has become a legend that refuses to fade. The river is quiet, but if you sit still enough at sunrise, you might just see a ripple that leads to something watching. Number 12. The Shadow Nurse of Albany. At Phoebe Putney Memorial Hospital in Albany, strange stories have lingered for nearly a century. During the flu outbreak of the 1920s, A dedicated head nurse worked around the clock, caring for the sick and comforting the dying. She refused to leave, even when she became ill herself. When she finally passed, her spirit, it seems, never left the halls she once walked. Today, hospital staff speak quietly about the shadow nurse, a tall figure in old-fashioned white who appears during the quietest hours of the night. Some patients report seeing her by their bedside, gently adjusting their IVs or placing a cool hand on their forehead. Others say they heard soft footsteps and looked up to see no one there. What makes the story harder to dismiss is how often patients describe the same thing: a kind woman in a white uniform who disappears through closed doors or into thin air. Some doctors, skeptical at first, admit they've had monitors suddenly return to normal after someone visited a patient in distress. To this day, the hospital runs smoothly, but the legend remains. Whether it's real or just a shared dream, many believe the nurse who gave her life to heal others still walks the halls, watching over Albany's sick and whispering comfort in the quietest hours before dawn. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.